Hey folks, welcome back. Today we are going to be showing you guys how we tap our maple trees. It's mid-February right now. As you can tell, the ground is pretty frozen. It thaws during the day, but it gets super cold at night, and that's the temperatures that you want. For doing maple syrup here in New Jersey, we have a very short window of doing it. We did have a cold year this year, so I'm hoping that the concentration for the sap is actually going to be good. Past years doing this, it's like a 40-to-1 ratio for the sap, so it hasn't been too good. I'm hoping to get it down a little bit less, maybe 35, 6, something like that. We'll see. But we're going to show you what trees we tap here on the farm, how we do it. Talking with my friends, they're actually surprised that I even do this, or if that's something that can even be done in New Jersey. It can. We've been doing it for years. It's been coming out great. So we're going to show you the whole process and how we do it, size of the drill bits, the taps, locations, and the containers in which we collect the sap in. And then we have a 55-gallon drum in the walk-in cooler to keep the sap cold so it doesn't spoil. And we'll show you the process and the setup for that we have here on the farm. So stick around and we'll show you how we tap trees here at the Funny Farm. Okay folks, welcome back. So this is one of our maple trees that we have tapped here before. And some of the stuff that we have here, we're just going to quick overview. All right, you got your Lowe's bucket and you got your lid, and all I did was just drill a hole in the top. Obviously, what is that lid going to be doing? It's going to keep debris out. More importantly, it's going to keep the critters like your squirrels, birds, especially the deer. They'll come over here, they'll actually drink right out of the bucket. So to keep everything clean the best that you can, we keep the lid on there, keep rainwater out so you're not boiling off extra water. And the other thing we have here is the tubing with the spigot right here on the end of the tap right here. So what we're going to do is have my drill here. It's roughly a 5/16 drill bit, and you can drill a little bit of an angle downward. That's what I typically do to help the sap flow out of the tree. Different people say you need to be a certain amount of feet off the ground. There really is no good sweet spot for tapping these trees. I've done it for a couple of years at different heights, and they've all pretty much produced the same amount of sap coming out of the tree. But one thing that I want to show you people that I was told from a friend of mine up in Minnesota, shout out to Tyler if he's listening, is to really come up where if you see a branch coming off, or you have you can see some visible roots coming out of the ground here. Those are going to be the feeder lines going up the tree to help produce the tree with a lot of water and stuff like that. So he said if you can follow that line, a root at the bottom and a branch coming up above you, that's some of your best places to tap. And my friend in Minnesota has been pretty successful. He does a lot of it, hundreds of gallons of sap every year. So that's what we've been doing. We do it on a very small scale. I only run about 8 of these buckets on my property. Any more than that, it gets to be a little bit too much. And depending on the flow for the year, filling up a 55-gallon drum can fill up pretty quick. And now you're scrambling to boil off a lot of this stuff so quickly that you're bringing in more than you can boil off. So for me, running it myself, I like to just do it with 8 buckets, and that seems to be just fine for me. So what I'm going to show you next is the procedure in which I do it. Okay folks, so I found my spot on the tree. I'm probably about 5'9", and it's right about here up on me, right up to about my chest line. So roughly 4 feet or so. I just made a little mark. Now I want you to see something. I just made this little mark. I'm not even 1/8 of the way into the tree here. And let me try and zoom in here. I'm trying to do this one-handed. There's already water flowing out, and I haven't even begun to go in. I normally drill into this tree about 1.5 inches. On my drill bit here, I already have it marked. So what we're going to do is we're just going to come in here on a little bit of an angle. Come back out. And then I like just to round it off just a little bit at the bottom. Get a little taper. Get a little bit of a taper to it. And what we'll do is we'll take our spigot here And see how we're fitting. Maybe just round it out just a little bit more. Get some of that pulp out there. And then I have my hammer. Now this isn't the best hammer to be doing this with. I should be doing a mallet, but I can't find it. But we're just gonna give it a little tap just to make sure this thing is seated. Because you want a nice tight seal around the spigot here is tapped, because if you don't, it'll start coming out the sides and you'll start seeing it run down the tree. So you want to make sure that you have a nice seat in there. And then almost immediately, we're going to start seeing some of the water coming right out of this tap. And then what I do here is just take my one end, stick it right into the bucket. Try and find a level spot here. Get some of the slack out of the bucket. And just let it sit. I'll put a branch or a rock or something on top of the lid to help weigh it down to keep it from tipping over or blowing over. But that's the process. It's really not all that hard. Now you just gotta wait, collect it. We'll come back here tomorrow morning and see how much we're getting. I don't expect to get too much tonight. Tomorrow, during the day when it warms up again, it's really going to start flowing and get going pretty good here. So I got 7 more trees like this to tap. We'll see how we do. Okay, folks. Well, I just tapped another tree, but I want to come in here and just show you. I literally just tapped it, and that is how much we were getting out of this tree. And to get something like that where you're getting, you know, several drops like that a second, it's going to produce pretty good. So I don't even have this even in the bucket yet, because I wanted to show you guys what I was dealing with. But here's the end. And here's my bucket here. So we're just gonna try and get this into the bucket. Try and catch as much of that sap as we can get. Now, one thing I didn't point out before that I want to point out is that I washed and cleaned the lids and the buckets. On the outside, I don't care too much, but on the underside and the top part of the lids, on the inside, stuff like that, make sure you really have your buckets clean. It's going to help with preserving your syrup. Make sure no bacteria or any other debris is in there. You want to try and keep it as clean as possible. But again, as you guys could tell, you know, we're getting some good flow here out of the tree. So we'll see how this thing produces.